morning. My name is LaBria Brown. I'm reporting to you live from Sam Houston State University in the Education Building. Today we'll be talking about INTAS standards in order to support ongoing teacher effectiveness to ensure students reach college and career-ready standards. Today I have the pleasure of meeting with Emily, Louisa, and Brittany.
Thank you so much for having us, LaBria. We are so excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here with all of y'all.
Y'all
too.
So good
nice to see you. I'm excited to be here as well. It's good to see you, ladies. I would like to start things off with a question for you, Emily. Why do you think it is important to regularly assess individual and group performances for students?
I think that's a really good question because I think it's really important to assess them not only as individuals but as a group, because Stanford University said that grading is not necessarily the same thing as assessing, which I think is important because grading is not always like exactly what that student needs. I personally do not do well when I take tests, so I think that it's important to see the different levels and see the different multiple intelligences that the students have, not only as individuals but as a group together, because one class may be a little bit ahead of another class and you kind of have to assess them and see where they are.
What are your views on multiple intelligences?
Well, I think that it's important as a teacher to understand multiple intelligences because every student learns a different way. So I think that I think it's important to understand as a teacher because you need to know the different ways to incorporate the different multiple intelligences in your curriculum and in your plans.
Right. Well, thank you for that, Emily. Last week, we asked all of y'all who follow us on Twitter to use the hashtag @Cohort1 for any questions y'all might have while we visited Sam Houston State University. Our first question comes from Barbie Princess 72. What a name. And she would like to know, how can teachers determine individual rates of growth?
Well, I think that there's many different ways to determine their rates of growth. I think learning about their strengths kind of leads back to the multiple intelligences thing, because you need to determine what learning style works for them and what way they learn the best, and then also assess them based on their different subjects as well. I think determining their weak points kind of goes back to grading, because you can definitely tell when you're looking at the class as a whole and when you're looking at the students individually, you can see what their weaknesses are and what they're not participating in. And I also think it's really important to check in with the student personally. Just pull them aside, have that one-on-one time. My teachers used to do that with me all the time. They'd call us up one by one. We'd have 45-second, minute conversation, just checking in, see how you are, see what you're really understanding and see what you're not understanding. And then I also think it's important to look at their grades overall throughout the semester and throughout the year as the curriculum progresses. I think that that's really important because that kind of can show you their strengths and weaknesses as well.
Definitely, and I definitely think that checking in with them personally is very important. You get those shy kids all the time who really don't want to raise their hand and maybe ask a question in front of the entire class. So it gives them the opportunity to come up to you personally or you going to their desk, and so that you can just kind of check on them, answer any questions that they have, and make sure they're doing okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Our second question comes from Twitter, comes from Nacho Lover, and he wants to know how teachers can encourage collaboration.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this. The second I saw this, all of these ideas just started coming to my head. One of the first ideas that I had was just more hands-on group projects. So that way you can get a smaller portion of the class together, working in a small group, having ideas coming together, and also open discussions, like open classroom discussions. Instead of having that maybe more personalized group, you sometimes get that pause of like silence when nobody else really has any other ideas. You have however many students in your classroom all bouncing ideas off of each other, and it's really great to kind of, as a teacher, sit back and watch. And also introducing new curriculum. That's, as a whole, gives kids new ideas just because they're first starting to learn about it and they're still trying to figure it out. And then parent involvement. I think that's very important. Kind of sending home maybe a topic with the parents to talk about with their kid, and the student comes back with more ideas and things to talk about also. And teamwork activities. That's a huge one. Just in class, teamwork activities. One of my favorite is brain writing. It's when you give each student one sticky note. You give them a topic to write about or a discussion. They have that time to themselves write about it. Don't put their name on it. They then go and put the sticky note on a board, and as a class, as a whole, you talk about each sticky note. You can kind of tweak some, put others together, and it's just a great time for everyone to really work together.
I used to love personally activities like that where everyone would work as
Yeah,
a
me
team.
too.
That's my favorite.
Me too. And I also think it's really important to have those open discussions and those group discussions because, like you said, in a small group, they may not be able to talk about everything for the whole amount of time.
Right.
So you as the teacher can progress them and kind of guide them into a different topic when they get stuck.
Yes.
So I think that's really important.
Awesome. So another question from Twitter comes from Cohort 3, and they're wondering what is the best way to monitor students' learning?
I personally think that that's a really good question because I think it's important to keep the students engaged in the learning, and even though it may not be the most interesting topic to anyone, you still as a teacher have to make sure that they're being engaged and that they're understanding. And I think that as a teacher, if you enjoy it, your students can enjoy it as well because you can make it engaging, you can make it interesting, and you can have different projects and different assignments to make sure that they're all staying engaged, that they're all understanding what's going on.
I think it's really easy for teachers to monitor students whenever they're in a group setting and kind of go around, walking around the class, checking who's actually doing their part and who's not participating.
Right. And again, I think it really goes back to that whole the importance of having a class discussion so that you have everyone's ideas coming together and they can learn not only from the teacher but also from their peers.
Our last Twitter question is from Dr. Latrizzle Nixon, and she would like to know why it's important to question and analyze ideas from different perspectives.
Well, I think as a whole or in general, it just gives students a new point of view. Most of the time, a lot of times, kids are stuck in their, oh, well, I know this. I don't really care what you think or what your opinion is about it. And so it kind of gives them the opportunity to look at new perspectives. Because, of course, not everyone is going to see things the same way. And it gives students the opportunity to kind of like open their minds to new things instead of being shut off. It kind of opens them up. And it's also a great way for new communications to be made. Once you learn something different about another person, you're really able to, that just opens doors to more communication between the two of you. Expert Ken Henson actually says that this standard really focuses on critical thinking because it's taking students out of their mindset and putting it into a different one. And he also says that using Blackboard, which a lot of college campuses use, is a great way for that to happen because you can have so many more people coming together, expressing how they feel, collaborating back and forth.
You know, now that you bring this up, I've been asked before why I think that it's important to teach learners to question and challenge different assumptions, and I think that this would be the perfect time to answer that.
Go for it.
Okay, so I think that it's important to foster innovation and problem solving, local and global contexts. An assumption overall, according to research done by Elder and Paul in 2002, is an idea that one believes to be true based on prior experience or one's own belief systems. So this is why I believe that challenging assumptions is essential really for critical thinking skills. I think students must be giving practice with assignments requiring them to actively search for different assumptions in textbooks or articles or even media overall. Elder and Paul seem to agree, as they said back in 2002, that when we give students a routine practice in identifying assumptions, they begin to see that inferences will be illogical when the assumptions that lead to them are not justifiable.
Yeah.
So I couldn't agree with you more. Would you say it's important for teachers to employ a variety of assessments?
Oh, without a doubt. I think that teachers need to use both formative assessments and summative assessments as appropriate to support and verify both. I think the teachers use multiple methods of assessments to engage the learners in their own growth and to monitor the learner's process, and it's also helpful to guide the teachers and the students at the same time.
Definitely.
And for those out there listening who don't know what a formative assessment is, would you mind explaining that a little bit?
Oh, not at all. So formative assessment is basically a part of learning. It's not graded like summative assessments are. Those are more like an end of unit exam that you would have. But it's more of a practice for students, kind of just like homework, and it's for the teachers to check the understanding that students are having, and also it's good for the teachers to go back and see what students aren't understanding so they know what to prepare for the next lessons.
Right. Well, thank you, Elisa. That's really nice that you shared that with us. I would like to end this by touching base on how teachers use assessment data to help plan for instruction. According to expert Jessica Albert, formative assessments such as brief quizzes or thumbs up, thumbs down, formative type activities in class help the teacher to scope out which students actually understand things and which ones do not. This allows the teacher to see individual data on the students and to observe what students are struggling with. This also helps the teacher to adjust pacing for the whole class or just for those who are struggling. Checking cumulative files, such as seeing if in the past a child was supposed to have glasses, or if a student is supposed to be intelligent and gifted but is in the regular general classes, that would help the teacher to see, okay, this is why this student isn't doing as well. This student is bored, or this student really can't see, they don't have their glasses. And so just going back and checking things like that, checking their history, that also helps within the class as well.
What about standardized testing?
With standardized testing such as STARS or TAKS or any testing that is given by the state, it helps the teacher to see, okay, how did this student perform? And this can also help the teacher see how she wants to group her students. She might do little cohorts or groups within the classroom, like these are the fast-paced learners, these are the I don't want to say mediocre. Is that okay? It's not okay. These are the students that learn at a different pace, and these kind of at a more slower pace. You might want to name this group turtles or this group the lions, to help her remember things like that. And then for students who the teacher has observed their test taking skills, and she sees that, okay, they usually perform high in class, but on their standardized testing they did pretty low. She might come, I hate to say she because dudes are teachers too. The teacher might come to the conclusion that this student may have test taking anxiety, so this might encourage the teacher to do pep talks before testing to help the students out as well.
And going back to the whole touching base thing, I definitely remember in school my teachers having us close our eyes, put our heads down, and she would ask us, so do we understand it? Like, thumbs up, thumbs down if we didn't, kind of in the middle if we were in between, and that way it was kind of just between me and the teacher, even though it was being done as an entire class.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, all right, ladies. Well, it was a pleasure to spend the afternoon with y'all.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Definitely our pleasure.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I look forward to seeing y'all soon.
Of course.
Next week, I'll be in Oklahoma City talking to Boomer and Sooner on the Oklahoma University campus. So if you're listening and have questions you want answered, make sure you use the hashtag AskBoomSoon. See y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining.